Hello Kakuchopurei players, it's Lickety, and today I have a short video for you. You see, recently I ventured into uncharted territories, both figuratively and literally. I've just had my first taste of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, a franchise and genre that I've never really explored before. So to say that I was stepping into the unknown would be an understatement. The only survival horror RPG that I've dabbled in would be the remake for Resident Evil 4, so understandably, I assumed it was going to be something like that. I realise now in hindsight, I probably should have done a little bit more research. And if you know anything about me, then you should know that I despise the horror genre. But to my surprise, I've grown quite addicted to it. So let me first begin by saying that S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 doesn't hold your hand. Instead, it tosses you, head first albeit, into the haunting, unpredictable depths of the exclusion zone. And let me tell you, it's been quite the wild ride. Now, I know what you're thinking. How does someone who's more at home with fast-paced shooters and story-driven action games handle a game that thrives on tension, resource management, and immersive exploration? Well, stick around because I'm about to share everything about my experience as a newbie to the genre, from the moments of sheer awe to the ones where I'm questioning my own sanity. But first off, let's talk about S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 itself. The game is set in the infamous Chornobyl exclusion zone, a place that's as eerie as it is intriguing. Think of it as a living, breathing ecosystem, but also one that's actively trying to kill you. I love how the world is steeped in mystery and danger, with mutant creatures, dangerous anomalies, and an unforgiving environment that's constantly reminding you how unprepared you are. As a new player, it hit me right away how oppressive this world feels. You're left to figure things out on your own, piecing together what you can and can't do from scattered dialogue, in-game notes, and environmental clues. It's refreshing, but also incredibly intimidating. I spent the first hour just trying to get my bearings, and trust me, it's a steep learning curve, but I'm pretty sure that's also just a skill issue on my end. The game doesn't care if you're a veteran or a newbie, it throws you in and says, good luck. And if I needed luck in one aspect of the game, it would be in the combat. Combat in S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is where I really felt my inexperience. It's not about running and gunning like in most modern shooters. Every encounter demands careful consideration. Do you have enough ammo? Is your weapon condition good? Do you even have the resources to survive another firefight? I learned the hard way that charging in guns blazing may not be the best choice in the long run. One moment that stuck with me was my first encounter with blind dogs. I was going about my day exploring the zone, minding my own business, until I heard something snarling in the distance, and before I knew it, a pack of blind dogs appear out of nowhere. After wasting nearly all my ammo and bandages and my gun jamming mid-fight, it's safe to say I learned my lesson. These moments of panic are usually what deter me from games, but in the case of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, I found it almost exhilarating, but also a reminder that this game is about survival first, action second. And it's not just the creatures, even the anomalies. These strange supernatural phenomena scattered across the zone are a constant threat. One second you're exploring a derelict building, and the next, you're being sucked into a vortex that makes you shit yourself. I mean, like in real life, not in the game, although that would be extremely funny devs. As a newbie, you're always on edge, and honestly, it's worrying to me that I'm starting to find that appealing. I usually don't like being on edge. I find being on edge raises my stress levels when I look to gaming for comfort and relaxation or competition. But somehow, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 has broken me out of that mold, and I think that's thanks to the immersion. The biggest draw for me as a first timer has to be the atmosphere. The exclusion zone is breathtakingly detailed. Ruined buildings overgrown with vegetation, the haunting remnants of a civilization long gone, and the constant hum of danger in the air. I mean, the sound design alone is enough to make you second guess every step. The creaking of a distant structure, the echo of gunfire, or even just the wind howling through the trees, it all feels so real. For someone new to the genre, this immersion can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, you're completely absorbed into the world. On the other, you're constantly paranoid about what's lurking around each and every corner. I'd be scavenging for supplies in an abandoned house, only to hear a faint growl behind me. Do I stay and risk it for the loot, or do I bolt? These decisions are what make the experience so gripping. Now let's talk about the challenges I faced as a beginner. Resource management is a massive part of this game, and it's something I wasn't really prepared for. Like, you can't pick up every shiny thing you see in hopes you can sell it. Your inventory has a weight limit, and carrying too much will slow you down. So choosing what to keep and what to leave behind becomes a game in and of itself. there's also the lack of handholding. For someone who's used to modern games that spoon feed you objectives, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 was a wake-up call to say the least. I found myself getting lost more than once, trying to figure out where to go next or how to complete a task. It becomes incredibly rewarding. Every victory feels earned, and if I'm being honest, I wasn't sure if I'd enjoy that about S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2. But I'm realizing that the struggle is part of what makes it so satisfying. The game forces you to think, adapt, and embrace the unknown. And while the learning curve is steep, the payoff's worth it. Sure, I've died more times than I can count. I've run out of ammo at the worst possible moments. I've been ambushed, outsmarted, and humbled by the zone. But every failure has taught me something new. And as someone who's never played a game like this before, I can confidently say that S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 has opened my eyes to a whole new kind of gaming experience. Now before I wrap this up, I do want to address something that I didn't go into much detail in my written review, and that's how the game feels very much unfinished in its current state. I'll admit, as someone new to the genre, I was initially swept up in the sheer novelty of it all. But the more time I spent with S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 since that review, the more I've come to realise some glaring issues. The story for one, feels pretty bland. While the setting and atmosphere are top notch, the narrative doesn't do much to hook you in or drive the experience forward. It's not terrible by any means, but it lacks that memorable punch or emotional depth you'd expect from a game with this much world building. And for me, that's a missed opportunity. And then there's the overall polish, or lack thereof. Bugs, performance issues, and other rough edges are a constant reminder that the game wasn't quite ready for the spotlight. Besides the performance issues, these are things I didn't fully notice in my first few hours because I was too busy trying to figure out how not to die every 5 minutes. But as I settled into the game, they became harder to ignore. And with that, I've since come to the conclusion that I cannot recommend buying this game at full price right now, especially if you're not already a fan of the series or the genre. As much as I've enjoyed certain aspects, it's not worth diving into just yet unless you're prepared to deal with the rough patches. In the case of me, I am willing to deal with those. That being said, there is a silver lining here. GSC Game World has openly acknowledged the state of the game and the criticisms it has received. They've reassured players that they're committed to addressing these issues and supporting S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 for the foreseeable future. That's a promising sign, and it gives me hope that this game will eventually live up to its potential. The keyword there being potential, and I think that's where I messed up in my review. I was viewing it more for its lingering potential rather than for what it is, unfinished, which I have to apologise for because that's an amateur mistake and I've already been doing this for 2 years. But even 2 years in, I think a big reason for why I made this mistake was because I honestly believe that in the future, maybe after a few major updates or even an expansion, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 could become an incredible experience and a bargain for its price. And don't even get me started on the potential for a modding community. But if you're on the fence, I'd say hold off for now, but keep an eye on it. This could be one of those games that ages like fine wine with enough care and dedication from the developers. So to all my fellow Kakuchopurei players out there, if you're like me and have never touched a survival horror RPG, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chernobyl might just surprise you. Eventually. For now, it's a mixed bag with some standout highs and frustrating lows. But if the developers follow through on their promises, it could become something truly special. But what are your thoughts on the game? Have you played it yet? Or are you waiting for it to mature like I'd recommend? Let me know down in the comments. And just before I go, if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to like, subscribe if you want to see more content just like this, and obviously ding on that notification bell to be notified when we upload next, because we upload videos every single week. Until next time, this is Lickety signing out from the exclusion zone. Stay safe out there, and remember, trust nothing and no one in the zone. Ciao for now.